Hello everybody, welcome to another True Review. Today I'm bringing you Degeneration HD on the Xbox One. Releases on the 12th of February. Now what you have here is you have an isometric adventure. Pretty old school kind of feel to it. You play as a courier who has been tasked to deliver a package to a scientist called the Reader, who works in the Genoqs research labs. You land on the 80th floor of the building and enter and find the complete research lab in disarray. People are cowering for their lives, the automated defense systems are being activated, and you find biological enemies all roaming the place ready to attack anything that moves. So you're thrown quite in at the deep end. Nobody seems to know what's gone on or what's happened in the building, and you're really tasked with not only delivering your package, which is why you went there in the first place, but finding out what the hell's going on really and just trying to survive. And the game's played in an isometric viewpoint, which is pretty old school, and when I was playing this I thought, I've played something like this before, not realising that this actually is a remake of a game that came out on the old 16-bit computers, the Amigas and the Atari STs. And in fact, I have actually played this game before, way back then. I do quite remember it. As soon as I worked around the first few rooms, something was nagging me that it was very familiar. But then when I walked into the, I think it's the third or fourth room, where you see these sphere-like enemies, which are called agents, it clicked. I thought, yeah, I have played this before. And it is really just an updated version of that game, and I do remember really enjoying it, so I was quite happy to see that. What you're really tasked with is you've got to progress through the rooms, trying to get through the rooms really to survive, usually by opening doors. There's usually doors that block your path and you've got to press a series of buttons or find key cards which are guarded by various stationary enemies, trip lines and stuff like that, and even biological enemies which I mentioned. As the game progresses, these biological enemies become more and more complex. Throughout the game there's survivors which you can try to rescue. You know you're in a survivor room when you enter the room. There's a red arrow on the floor, which means that's the survivor exit point. You've got to get them to that area to actually rescue them. Usually that involves deactivating all the defences and making the room secure, which the game kindly notifies you when it is secure, although it only really classes the room secure when the biological enemies are defeated. Sometimes the room can have gun turrets still firing in there and it still be classed as secure. Now with the survivors, they can give you some information. Some of them are just wanting to get the hell out of there, which is understandable in the circumstances, and you can choose what to do with those survivors. You can rescue them if you want for an achievement, you can kill them all if you want for an achievement. So the game has got multiple playthroughs to actually do and different ways you can tackle the game. There's various other traps around the building as well, such as tripwires, electrical panels, mines, and various other obstacles that get thrown in your path as you progress through the game's 10 floors. Now graphically, it's an update from the original. I'll post a quick screenshot of the original in the review at this point of the review, just so you can see maybe a comparison shot. I'll see if I can find a room by room comparison, just so you can see. Now the graphics have been definitely updated, but it still retains that isometric viewpoint, which is very 16-bit. Graphically, it's very nice. You can see the environment really well. You can pick out all the office furniture and the research labs and teleporters and such which you encounter. The enemies are a little bit simplistic. Most of them are geometric shapes. You've got the A-gen, which is a sphere. The B-gen is kind of like a bouncy, kind of like a rubbery spring kind of creature. C-gens are really fiendish. They actually disguise themselves as survivors, and you've got to react pretty quick when you get near them, as they will instantly kill you. And then of course there is the titular D-gen that we have, really, and I won't go into much detail in regards to that because it would spoil things. Gameplay wise, it plays rather well. Sometimes the isometric viewpoint does throw you, especially when you've got your gun, and sometimes you have to bank shots around corners because the shots are bouncy, by the way. Sometimes you have to bank shots around corners to hit switches, and sometimes the isometric viewpoint can be very difficult to judge exactly where to actually fire. And I found quite a few times the way the bullets ricochet, sometimes it bounces out of a room and hits a switch which locks you into the room permanently and you can't get out. You have to sacrifice one of your lives. But other than that, it plays really well, and a faster paced version of the 1991 original. Achievement wise, it's a pretty big list for an independent title. It's got nearly 50 achievements, and they promote multiple playthroughs, ones where you have to rescue everybody, explore all the rooms, one where you have to kill everybody. There was at least 2 playthroughs, I believe, and there is a speed run as well, but it doesn't actually say what time you have to actually complete it in. It just says complete the game in a fast time. Overall, this game brought back an awful lot of memories from playing games like this in the past. I did really like the isometric viewpoint, which was quite popular back in the early 90s, and it's retained that old style feel to it, whilst freshening up the graphics and the speed of the gameplay an awful lot. It does have a few problems, which I think was in the original, if I can recall, over years back. Same problem that most isometric games tend to have, and I briefly mentioned it before. Judging the angles sometimes, or judging where something is actually in the game world in relation to your character, can be a bit tricky at times, but it doesn't really detract from the game. Maybe you have a few annoying deaths. There was one room in particular with loads and loads of lasers where you had to step in between them, and sometimes it looked like you was in a safe area, in fact you wasn't, and you got killed. It was pretty annoying, that room was, but that's few and far between those instances. And you do get quite a lot of lives if you decide to rescue the civilians and the employees of the building as well, to get an extra life for everyone that you do rescue. But overall, it's a really enjoyable experience, and one that I would highly recommend. So I'm going to give Degeneration a 8 out of 10. Really enjoyed this, and it brought back a lot of memories of playing the original. I'm not sure if any of the original team have actually been involved with this. Hopefully there were, but if not, they've done a bang up job of bringing this back into the public eye, really. And be very interesting to see if any other old style games are going to be getting a reboot. I really like it when that tends to happen. So yeah, overall for Degeneration HD, a 8 out of 10. Really good game, really enjoyed it. So I hope you enjoyed that review, guys. Thanks everybody for watching, and do remember to like, comment and subscribe on the video, and do follow me on my various social media pages. It does help me build the channel up and get these games to you as quickly as possible. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.